there, my name is Gavin, and this year I was lucky enough to be selected to the Cobra Connect Challenge, sponsored by Cobra Puma Golf, Arcos, and MyGolf. Me and 5 other lucky forum members were sent a full bag of Cobra clubs to see how much we could improve our golf game over this golf season, along with a full set of Arcos sensors to track our progress. I figured the best way to show you how the clubs worked out for me is to take you along on a quick 9-hole tour of my local course. But first, a little bit about me. I entered the challenge as a 20 handicap golfer, really struggling off the tee and with really poor iron play, but a lot of things that I could work on and some things I can build on with a strong short game and some pretty decent putting. Without further ado, let's head to the first tee at Homestead Farms Golf Course in Linden, Washington on a windy October day. Well, going straight from your car to the first tee is almost always a bad idea, and this day wasn't any different. First shot, pole draw, into the trees on the left, even going with my safety club, the Rad Speed 5 wood. 3 shots later and some unlucky bounces, and 100 yards in to a front pin means I'm going with the new snakebite wedges. I have it in a 52 and a 58, and the 52 degree was the perfect distance for me right there. That checked up nicely, and I've got about 12 feet left downhill to try and save double bogey on the first hole. Not how I expected my round to start, but sometimes that's just how it goes. And right there, so close, but at least if we start with a triple, things can only get better, right? A quick look at this wedge and some of the specs here. I certainly did not have any issues generating enough spin with this thing. 52 degrees puts me right in the 100-yard carry numbers with 9,400 RPMs of backspin, so I had zero problems stopping this thing, even on the greens that were fairly beat up on some of the courses that I played. No issues getting the ball to stop where I needed it to. Second hole, 120 yards, but a 3-club headwind. The wind actually knocked my camera down, but I managed to put an 8-iron to 3.5 feet and knock in the birdie putt. And just like that, things are getting a little bit better after that really rough start on hole 1. So 2 holes down and we're 2 over par. Not bad for a 20 handicap. Third hole, sliced my drive right into the next fairway over, and my second shot caught some branches and got slowed down a little bit. So left with a long ways into the green here and this mound in front. So I went with a 9-iron and figured I would lay up a bit. Gave up on the idea of making par here with this pretty much. Fortunately though, I got lucky with a real flyer out of the rough there. And that's something that I'll talk about in a bit here. 162 yards left me just a little ways short of the green. Nervous about the chip here, and I caught it thin and ran it right past the hole. I thought that was it. That was my chance to get up and down, but still got 12 feet left, back downhill. Redemption for that putt that just missed on the first green. Here it goes. All right, you can tell I'm excited about that one. Another par, and just like that, we're playing less than bogey golf. At my handicap level, I will take that anytime. I was mentioned that flyer lie earlier. The short irons in the Rad Speed set, no problem generating lots of spin when you catch them clean. Right there is a pitching wedge, 130 yards of carry with 7,400 RPMs of backspin. But in my experience, you get a little bit of rough between the ball and the club face, and those spin numbers drop off way more on those irons than any other irons I've used. We'll see a comparable 9-iron shot in the next hole here. But first, fourth hole, going with the 5 wood off the tee, and this thing just became my safety club. Swing nice and easy. It's really upright for a fairway wood, which works well for my swing. I can hit it off the tee, I can hit it off the deck like I'm doing here. Unfortunately, I'm facing some pretty strong winds, so not much of a chance of reaching the green in 2 here after I pulled that tee shot on a dogleg right hole. But still, that club is forgiving. It's no surprise to me that my best ever 9 holes, the only time I've ever broken 40 on 9 was when I left my driver and 3-wood in the bag and went 5-wood off of every tee. It paid off for me. Don't be fooled by the lamppost on the left there. I am hitting towards the pin. Unfortunately, that chip came up just a little bit short, leaving myself a little over 20 feet here to try and make a par. Not impossible. Unfortunately, when you make a read that bad, you never had a chance. Got a little bit too inside my head. Rushed the second shot. And I think we all know what's happening now. We know it's coming. We know it's coming. There it is. Lip out and dreaded 3-putt for a double bogey. That one really hurts for sure. Take a little bit of a closer look at these fairway woods. This is a 3-wood on the GC quad, and these things are just so forgiving, and the faces are really hot. For comparison, my driver club head speed is usually about 105 miles an hour. Look at this, with the 3-wood, 148 miles an hour of ball speed, still getting a lot of backspin, and that's become my 250-yard club off the tee. So really can't complain about the performance of the fairway woods. They've been excellent for me. On to the 5th hole, and this is fall golf in the Pacific Northwest. The breeze helps dry the course out a little bit. You can see a bald eagle soaring in the frame there. And with 150 yards to the front of the green, 9-iron felt like the right club. But you see that there coming up a little bit short, and that's what happens when you're hitting these irons off the fairway. You get a lot more spin, and a comparable shot off the fairway surface or off the tee box versus off the rough, that's 20 yards difference in carry. Chipped that a little bit past, but made another 12-footer downhill to save par. And we're still sitting pretty good at this point. 5-iron off the tee here on the 6th hole because there's water left and right and sand in the middle of the fairway. And this is a par 5, pretty short, but I'm going to lay up every time here and give myself a good distance in. And in this case, a good distance in for me is 75 yards back again to that 52-degree snakebite wedge. My past wedges were the Cleveland CBX wedges. 52-degree was also my 100-yard club, but it just wasn't as good at touch shots as this thing is right here, and that's probably my best wedge shot of the year. 75 yards, and we drop that right up there. You can see that's inside of 2 feet. While I'm repairing that pitch mark, we'll take a look at some of the data here. Normally, again, this is 100 yards with a full swing. That little 3/4 swing for me, 75 yards, which means it's flying a little shallower, coming in a little hotter, but still softer swing on the 3/4 swing, generating enough backspin to stop on the green like you just saw there. So we'll head back to the green here, tap this putt in, and just like that, that's a birdie, and we're recovering from that double bogey, following it up with a par and a birdie. And just like that, we're feeling pretty good after 6 holes. Off to the 7th, and my struggles with the driver continue after slicing on 3. Again, slice off to the right here. And the wind's holding it up as well. Didn't get a lot of carry. And I'm left kind of sitting under some trees, looking towards the green. And this is one thing that surprised me with these Rad Speed irons compared to the Super Game Improvement irons I was coming from. Not as much forgiveness out of the bottom of the face as I might have expected. Ton of lost distance, and this 6-iron caught it thin and got nowhere near the distance that I needed. So trying to get up and down here, I always use that 52-degree around the green, especially this late in the season. I have a 58-degree wedge as well, but it only has 8 degrees of bounce. And this late in the season in the Northwest, when everything's soft, I need a lot more bounce than that to avoid getting that leading edge caught in the mud and in the soft fairways. It's good out of the sand, and it's good during the summer when fairways are hard, but out of the soft stuff, I need a lot more bounce than that 58 degree with the classic grind provides. Chance to save par, a little bit uphill, and I just didn't give it enough. Kicking myself there, settling for a bogey. Not bad though after that tee shot. And I know folks are wondering, with the strong loss on these Rad Speed irons, can they still hold the green? Well, here's a 7 iron from 180 yards out on the sim, and that doesn't seem to have any problem. 5,200 RPM of backspin on average for me on a well-struck 7 iron. So that shows they can hold the green, unless, like we saw earlier, you're hitting out of the rough, in which case you can expect a lot more carry, a lot less spin. And these irons out of the rough, unless you're looking at a 9 iron or your pitching wedge, you're probably not going to hold the green. Off the fairway though, that's a different story. Again, back to the 5 wood off the tee, old reliable for me. This club rarely lets me down, except for on the first tee when I'm not warmed up yet. My approach shot, 9 iron out of the rough, you guessed it, long off the back of the green. Left this chip just a little bit too short. The chance to make another 12-footer downhill to save par, and this one didn't do it. 2 putts, taking another bogey. Let's take a look at some of the driver data here. Like I mentioned before, I usually get about 105 miles an hour of club head speed. And to be fair, I don't hit driver very well indoors because in my mind I'm thinking I'm going to hit the ceiling. But the Rad Speed XB, even with the Rogue Silver Shaft, which is supposed to reduce spin, that's just too much spin for me. I'm not getting the carry numbers I would like to see. But it's definitely a forgiving head if you can manage to make contact. Just not quite the right fit for my swing. I tend to generate a lot of spin on my drivers. Hole 9, you guessed it, par 4, 5 wood off the tee. And honestly, I have this thing set in the draw setting, and draw is such a rare shot shape for me. It's almost nice and refreshing when it does happen like that, a little baby draw with the Rad Speed fairway wood. And again, getting a lot of use out of the 9 iron today, this round. Caught this one just a little bit fat though. Heel, flipped the face close and pulled it into that water-filled bunker there. You might have seen the little splash. So we'll use the rake to retrieve that ball, drop it behind the bunker so we're not swimming in this wet bunker. That's what happens when you get as much rain as we do. Little chip onto the green. That rough was so thick I wasn't getting any spin. That didn't stop and rolled just off the back. And we're putting from off the green. Chance to save par on our very last hole. Is it going to be enough? Not quite. Didn't give it enough coming off the fringe there. Tap in for bogey. And ending that with a 42. 6 over par over 9 holes. Not too bad. And honestly, seeing positive strokes gained on approach, that's new for me. So at the end of the day, how did the clubs work out for me? Well, I guess there's 2 ways you could answer that question. One, you could look at my handicap. Since the beginning of this season, I've knocked 5 strokes off my handicap, and I'm down now to a 15. Is all of that due to the Cobra clubs? Probably not. I think having all the extra data from Arccos also helped me realize and recognize what parts of my game I need to work on. And having a full set of brand new clubs encouraged me to spend a little bit more time at the range practicing on my game. But for sure, the clubs were great. And another way you could answer that question, how well did they work, is what's staying in the bag? For me, it's going to be pretty much everything. I still have some issues to sort out related to gapping in the top of my bag. My driver still needs some work, and I'm not convinced that the Rad Speed XB head is the right one for me. I might need something a little bit lower spinning. The wedges though, and the fairway woods, those things were perfect, and I wouldn't change them a little bit.